It's a fourth day, fourth session, a session on war and peace. Today we have eminent guest Ashwini Pansare ma'am, an eminent principal, educationist, and Ignited Dreams of Young Minds Foundation founder Ravishankar Prasadji, a role model to present youngsters, and one more youngster, but he is a scientist, he is a professor, he is a doctor, author, and international speaker. So Dr. Pratik Mungekar. We have eminent people, and Advocate Dr. Nupur Dhamija ma'am will join us in few minutes. So this program is getting bigger and bigger day by day. Having your excellencies on this day is really special because it is the need of the hour. A big day on war versus peace. Actually, we started this program as a debate. It is going on as a discussion because when it is a debate, there are two. There is only one side. No one. We can't life to everyone. So that is the objective of this program. Thank you, excellencies, for joining. So with this note, we are starting this program. So we start this program with Ashwini Pansare ji. Let us hear from her why peace is important. Why is peace so important to us, especially in the context of Russia and Ukraine war? It seems to be that as if we are reaching third world war. So let us hear from Ashwini Pansare ji about her opinion on peace and the situation in Ukraine and how far we are from a third world war. Over to you, ma'am.
We support such a kind of things. We support such a kind of things like sustainable development, then different kind of uphold international laws. So this all included in the peace. So if I support and if I depending upon the constitution, so as a participating in the democratic process and respecting, obeying the federal, state, local kind of laws, then it's my role to be a patriotic, be a productive, then be a member of society, take part in different kind of sorting the social issues.
Pansare madam,
Yes.
sorry to interrupt you. What do you think about the war between Russia and Ukraine? What is your opinion on that? How do you see the war between Russia and Ukraine?
Yes. Actually, sir, this is the big history. Because one kind of institution like NATO. So, firstly, the Ukrainian people want to work with that American Institute, NATO. But Russian people start the war towards the Ukrainian people because they don't want to that Ukrainian people never hire that institute or they never work with them.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. One second. Let us move to Ravishankar Prasad ji. Let us know his opinion on this. Ravishankar ji, the world expects peace for its survival. But we can see in the present scenario, there is a war between Russia and Ukraine going on. It's going to be a year, because already 7 months. So, how do you see, brother, this war between Russia and Ukraine? That is the one question. And is it cause any third world war? How do you see how far we are from third world war? Is there any chance likely to happen? What do you say on that?
Yes, it's a very good question, sir. And yeah, I was betting that some program should be like this to be conducted, and you have done a very great job. It's a big discussion going on in everywhere. You have a discussion of Ukraine and Russia. First of all, I condemn the war because India always believes in peace. Don't want any country to fight with each other, and every country have right to live with their own democracy. But since now Russia invasion has taken place in Ukraine, it has created a lot of problem for the world economy. So if anywhere war is there, in this scenario, if there is a war is there, if there is no peace, it's going to create a lot of problems. The reason is already we are fighting with COVID-19, and this is another situation which has been created. And you all know very well that Ukraine is the biggest supplier of wheat, food grains. And if there is a now Russia has attacked on the Ukraine, and the Black Sea part has been captured by Russian army. So Ukraine is not able to supply the food grains to the other country. So it is another very big problem for the African country, especially for the African country to get the food grains. That's why America is always requesting India to supply the food grains. The second question, what you have asked will it take to the lead to the third world war? No, it is not going to be a third world war because America is very clever. America don't want to fight directly with Russia. America just want to engage Russia with Ukraine because America want to destroy the economy of Russia. Because America knows that America have only two enemies. One is Russia and other is China. So they want to engage Russia with Ukraine. So Ukraine is the victim now. America is just giving some fight
It
with
means
Russia.
international politics, right? International politics.
Yes.
Please go
Engage
ahead.
Russia for a long time because if the war will go for a longer time, Russian people will become against the government of Russia. And also the economy of Russia will get damaged. So it will be a long damage for Russia. That's how they have damaged them in Afghanistan. In 1991, Russia got divided into many parts. So this is the American second trial for Russia. So Americans are very, very clever. They just want Russia to destroy it in a for long term. They don't want to have short. They don't want to go for third world war because if there is a third world war, it is going to become a nuclear war. So America don't want their own damage. They want Russian damage with Ukraine damage. That's all. That is their intention. Yeah.
So what is your stand on third world war? What do you say about
Third world war. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Tell me, sir.
What do you say about third world war? Is it going to take place in near future or not?
Never, never. It is not
Never.
going to take place because you know very well that, see, there is one side of America. India will stand in American side also. India will stand with Russia also because we are buying weapons from Russia. There is another war is going to take place very soon between Taiwan and China. Just want in America want to damage the economy of Russia and China because they are the two threats for America. So now they are planning to engage China with Taiwan. They don't want to have a third world war. They just want to engage it so that China economy, America will be always a superpower. Third world war will never take place because everybody knows that 6 or 7 countries have nuclear weapons. So it is going to be very dangerous. No country is going to go third world. Never.
That is so great, brother. That is so great. As you assured that there won't be any third world war, that is what people are expecting, because there should not be any war. Because now at present we are seeing the consequences in Russia and Ukraine war. Even both sides are people being killed, and so many army people of Russia are being killed. So that's what happening. Really, it has to be curbed. Thank you so much. Now let us listen to our Dr. Pratik Rajan Mungekar. Brother, how do you see this war between Russia and Ukraine, and how close we are, or how far we are from third world war?
Okay, so sure. So obviously we are a bit closer to World War III. My opinion is slightly different from Mr. Ravishankar. Then we were back in December before Russia invaded Ukraine, and I still think we are still several steps away from something akin to World War I or World War II. So right now, Russia has obviously invaded Ukraine, and Russian and Ukrainian forces are obviously engaged in some really brutal thuggish combat. And the United States and its NATO allies are obviously aiding the Ukrainians through trying to stay out of the is trying to draw upon Chinese support indirectly for its effort in Ukraine. So right now we have what could be considered an internationalized conflict. We have a conflict between two different states that is drawing more and more attention from external actors. Really, some of the most intense attention to such issues that we have seen since the end of World War II. So I can understand why people feel we might be on the verge, but we are still several steps away. The United States is not actively involved. China is not actively involved, and right now the conflict at least is confirmed to Ukraine. So I think it's important to remember that things like the First World War and Second World War actually began with localized conflicts between regional major powers and minor powers. So World War One, I would like to throw some light on the example. World War One, I began because of a fight between, Serbia and the Austro-Hungarian Empire. And that then grew in other countries also. So World War II arguably began when Germany invaded Poland. These are some examples. And other countries came to Poland's defense. So what does these all mean for the current situation? I don't think necessarily to get a world war, you need the United States involved. But world wars are defined by their broad scope, by the sheer number of countries involved. And so even if the United States stays on the sidelines, there is some potential for escalation, some potential for World War III. But at the same time, the United States and China are several other countries are obviously trying to hang back and trying to urge restraint, which at least bodes well. And I think for the prospects of avoiding a World War III. So still several states away from a conflict akin World Wars I and II. So there is very important economic sanctions are really poor tool for coercing other countries. The United States had tried to deter Russia with the threat of sanctions, but Putin still decided the stakes were worth invading Ukraine. So I think calls for the no-fly zone are an understandable response to the humanitarian tragedy unfolding. But at the same time, I think people have not fully thought through the dangers involved. So that's my answer to your question.
Here, both are some different answers. Of course, my answer is entirely different. Ravishankar brother said there won't be any third world war. You said a bit closer, but I said it already started.
Yeah.
Because the foundation was laid. The foundation was laid by Russia and Ukraine. We'll see what will happen in future. But anyway, we hope whatever Ravishankar Prasad brother said, because there won't be any war. Certain nations, that is not happening. Because 2 or 3 years back, I wrote an article on the falling of United Nations. That was published in Medium, my blog. So really, I did a lot of research on that. Really, that is what happening. So anyway, to share a few more views on the war between Russia and Ukraine war and Third World War likely to happen or not. Let us see the guest from, we have an eminent personality, Advocate Dr. Nupur Dhamija ji from Delhi Supreme Court. Let us hear from her. Ma'am, over to you.
Thank you so much, respected Rajarao sir, and good evening to all respected members. Now we are talking about war and peace, but now I want to talk to, I'm talking about, is world peace an impossible dream? Is world peace an impossible dream?
It seems to be impossible. Actually, it's not impossible, but it seems to be impossible.
No, nothing is impossible. For the time being, situations is different, for the time being, situations is different, but one day situations will change definitely. If we want to change everything, then we will change everything. If we will do something new, if we will do something, we will be connected together and united together, then we will definitely change everything. And we should do something about this war, peace and all. I'm not talking about single person can change the world. I'm not talking about on this topic ki one single person can change the world, but we can do all these things, but with unity, not single person, with unity. So is world peace an impossible dream? On September 11th of September, when many people died in the blazing inferno at the World Trade Center, so did many illusions. Among them was the American sense of inviolability, protected by the world's two largest oceans, blacks with the largest continent filled with natural resources. Over the two countries of our national life, we Americans have developed a feeling of safety, of optimism, and of confidence. With the acceptation of our own civil war, Americans have always felt that the terrible things taking place in distant lands couldn't happen here. There were, of course, in just the last few decades, other attacks on our country, even on the World Trade Center itself, but none ever passed over our soon gave way to a more complex reality. The dream of world peace. We are talking about dream of world peace. Recently, I was asked a question: is world peace an impossible dream? I would like to conclude these remarks by trying to answer that question. Now, it may seem like the wrong time to talk about peace in the world with reports of war filling the air. But if we wait for the day that nothing bad happens in the world, we may never even get to talk about peace. So I did like to say a few words on that subject. If by world peace it is mean the complete absence of conflict among and within the nations, then it may well be impossible. There are more than 6 billion people in the world. Current estimates project an increase to between 8 and 10 billion in the country, and with the largest increases to occur in the poorest countries. There will be a huge and rising demands for land, for water, for natural resources for all kinds, for jobs and opportunities, for political and economic powers. As the gap between the rich and the poor nations widens and the technology advances and separates, it is unrealistic to imagine the complete absence of conflict. But this is for all these things, this is for time being, world, war and peace. It's up to us, it's up to our hands. We can change all these things, and we should do change the things. We are trying, we will try, we should try, even we should try to change the things. Why we don't change the things? Why we don't trying to change the things? We should do all these things by mentally, by psychologically, by physically, and we are talking about all these topics step by step. All things will be possible. That's all.
Thank you, Excellency. Thank you for making which is impossible to possible. That's so great. Thank you for giving that positivity, because people need positivity. Positivity gives us strength. Thank you so much. Because you are a Supreme Court advocate, you can do many wonders. This is also an honor. Thank you. So, thank you, Sonesh Bharadwaj ji, for joining. Thank you so much. Today you look a bit tired, but I know you have more than that strength which is required for this program. But anyway, we welcome you heartily for joining. We are very happy for your joining. And we want to ask you the question in the context of Russia and Ukraine war. Why is peace so important? And how do you see the war between Russia and Ukraine? And how far we are from Third World War, or how close we are to Third World War? What do you say? What is your opinion on this?
Greeting. I'm Sonesh Bharadwaj, joining all of you from Bangalore, India. So thank you, Rajan, for inviting me for this wonderful platform to talk about something very important called world peace. And I think being a peace ambassador, first we need to understand why is world peace important. isn't it? Because if we are not clear that why world peace is important, definitely we don't understand the reason behind war. So what, in my belief system, what I feel, when we hear about war, we think of something really far away, and it just seems to be movie like, right? We might even think it is fun because we have never expressed one. But war is real and has many, many consequences. People lose their belongings, their families, their lives, and everything they know of. Those that survive have to choose between living in fear and suffering because they are surrounded by violence, abandoning everything they know, even their families, and risking everything so they can hopefully move to another country. This drama that seems so far away to us is the daily reality of many people in conflict zones. If I talk about peace in conflict zones, this is why it is so important to attain world peace and make peace in conflict zones. Not only there is always a better way to resolve conflict than creating war, fighting and suffering for the citizens, but also conflict creates a lot of instability and fear in the areas where it happens. Consequences like lack of food, water, economic difficulties, a loss of a great amount of people, among many others, create a big problem. Not only in the countries where the conflict happens, but in many other areas who need to hurry to gather resources to help those people. They sometimes can't properly help because they don't have the means, putting those who want to help in a very complicated and difficult situation where they make a hard choice themselves. All in all, if I talk about conflict and war, are both realities that are very painful and complicated for those living in them, and they have terrible, long lasting effects where it happens, and it in also in those wanting to help. So to stop the difficulties that these people are suffering and prevent further problems, it is important to achieve world peace. Because I believe if we don't understand why we are working for peace, there is no point of talking about why a war is happening, right? So we have a very important governing body, UN. I was just listening to our honorable advocate Nupur, and she was so brilliant in talking such a powerful way that United Nations, when we talk about, was created in 1945 following the devastation of the Second World War, right? With one central mission, the maintenance of international peace and security. That's why we have such a huge accomplishments by working in preventing conflict, helping parties in conflict making peace, deploying peacekeepers, and creating the conditions to allow peace to hold and flourish. UN Security Council has the primarily responsibility for international peace and security. General Assembly and Security General play major important and complementary roles along with the other UN office and governing bodies. I just want to highlight here the five main major areas where our UN plays a very, very vital role. First, maintain international peace and security. Second, protect human rights. Because if we cannot protect human rights, I think we are doing the biggest justice to mankind. Delivering humanitarian aid, which is highly important, because just surviving on this planet is not why we have taken a birth on it, right? We should know how to live peacefully. Support sustainable development and climatic action. And that's why we have SDG in place, right? We talk highly about SDG goals and why we want to attain, because this is the reason we cannot have peace in place if our SDGs are not in control. And last but not the least, uphold international laws. Because I believe if there is no law, there is no discipline, definitely there is going to be a conflict. And that's why we need to have a strong governing body who comes strongly and ensure that law enforcements and sustainable things are in place. When we rise in the morning and listen to the radio or newspaper, right? I'm sure we all are confronted with the same sad news: violence, crime, wars, rapes, and disasters, right? And I'm sure nobody will deny to this fact today. I cannot recall a single day without having a report of something terribly happening somewhere. If not in one place, not in one state, not in one country, some other country. But ultimately, we are humans. We are suffering, right? Even in these modern times, it is clear that one's precious life is not safe. No former generation has had the experience so much bad news as we face today. Today, we call ourselves modern. We are enriched with resources. Irony of the life is we are the biggest sufferers because we don't understand why world peace is important. We call ourselves very well educated. Unfortunately, we behave something like educated fools because we don't understand the power of humanity. It's irony. I know it sounds very, very funny to talk in this way, but somewhere we need to take a step. And it's the practical fact that we all probably put our foot down and start working towards the common actionable goals, right? The constant awareness of fear, tension should make any sensitive and compassionate person question seriously the progress of our modern world. It is ironic that the most serious problems emanate from more industrially advanced societies, as I mentioned, right? We call ourselves modern, we call ourselves well educated, we have better science and technology to support us, but unfortunately, we are suffering to the most. Science and technology have worked wonders in many fields, but the basic human problems remains the same. There is unprecedented literacy, yet this universal education does not seem to have fostered goodness, but only mental restlessness and discontented instead. There is no doubt about the increase in our material progress and technology. Today we have better bungalows, houses, better cars to drive, but no peace of mind, no satisfaction, no internal so-called peace of mind. We are searching peace, we are searching satisfaction in spite of having everything. Because every human today is literally fighting a war inside they themselves, in spite of having everything around them. Very ironic, but somewhere this is not sufficient as we have not yet succeeded in bringing about peace and happiness or in overcoming suffering. I'm sure that many people share my concern about the present worldwide moral crisis and will join in my appeal to all the humanitarians and religious practitioners who also shares the concern to help make our society more compassionate, just and equitable. Universal humanitarianism is essential to solve global problems. Point number 2, compassion is the pillar of world peace. If you're not compassionate, you are not living like a human. For God's sake, be compassionate. All world religions are already for world peace in this way, as are we, all humanitarians of whatever ideology. Each individual has a universal responsibility to shape institutions to serve human needs. And at last, I just want to say one thing. For renewal of human values and attainments of lasting happiness, we need to look to the common humanitarian heritage of all nations the world over. May this serve as an urgent reminder that we should not forget the human values that unite us all as a single family on this planet. Because first and the foremost is peace within us. And if we cannot respect an individual the way we are as humans, definitely there is going to be a third world war. Because your question was how near we are towards World War III. In my ideology, you can create World War III for any time, because this is something is created in our minds. Because I believe our first religion is humanitarian. We need to have the concept of humanity in place. Because if humanity is not in place, everything is disturbed. Then it hardly matters. You belong to any culture, you belong to any community, you belong to any kind of crisis. It does not matter, because you don't understand the fundamental way to lead your life. And the fundamental says very important thing. We all need to be at one single piece, because we all are one. God has created all of us as humans, not to define, not to discriminate, not to show somebody who is superior or who is not superior. So live in harmony, live in peace, and ensure war is absolutely not the solution. War will only create distraction, which probably our coming generation will keep suffering, and the suffering will be only never ending. So let's create a world which is not having a destructive suffering. Rather, we have a constructive mission to become a harmonized.
Iranians loves Russians. There is no problem of them. They don't want to fight. Indian people doesn't want to fight with Pakistan. Pakistani people doesn't want to fight with India. The government is creating the problem between India and Pakistan, or Russia and Ukraine. So what is the problem world is facing right now is that superiority of United States. The major problem world is facing right now is that we have only one superpower, that is America. And America want to suppress all the countries. Whichever country want to come near to the America, Americans are trying to bring them down. So they don't want them to come equal to them. So we have to create another equal power like Russia or India to give a soft answer to USA. Then only this all problem will get resolved. You can see that now a few years back, American soldiers attack on the Iranian biggest army chief. What is the need of doing that? You are going to their country and hitting them. That will create another war now. That is the only biggest problem world is facing right now. And if this problem will be resolved, if there will be another power equal like Americans, then this problem will be sorted out, according to me.
Wonderful, wonderful, brother. Sonesh Bharadwaj ji, how can it's a global family, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, Indian notion, not global war, but we want a global family. So how can we achieve a happy world, a peaceful world, according to you, in 1 or 2 minutes, because we are going to conclude this program? Over to you.
So in simple ways, as all the dignitaries very nicely portrayed their own views, that how we can achieve this global, if we talk about peace. Because when I say peace, it's not only about an individual, it's not about as very rightly pointed out just now by Ravishankar ji, that it's not about Pakistani wants to fight with India and India with Pakistan, right? It's always about there is some problem in the system which is not in structure. And if we can put the structure in right order or right place, I think things are settled. So it's all about majorly, you cannot blame fully government. You cannot blame fully even, I mean the Janata Party also. Janata, when I talk about the population, I'm talking about here, right? So it's not about a one-sided. It's always about there is a serious mismatch, whether it comes to the structuring, whether it comes to how we are pursuing that structuring. Because nothing can be done if everything was so well. There was a serious damage in the some structuring layer, and that's why this whole issue has come up. And not only at a nation, it has come up to a global level now. So you can understand the kind of damage has been done. Right? So that's a secondary thing that people don't talk about, the internal layers, because we don't want to highlight. But there has to be a high point where we need to understand that where is the damage. Because until unless we don't understand the loopholes, we cannot rectify a system. We will be keep blaming people. We will be keep blaming system, government, anybody we can blame. But blame game has to get over. Then only action will start. So rather than putting a blame and passing and tossing on the ball, let's start taking action, whether it is at individual level, whether it is at nation level, whether it is at governing body level. Everybody has to put their foot down and start taking actions. This is the right solution.
Fantastic, fantastic. Pratik ji, what is your conclusion to this program? How can we all, the global people, a global family, can live happily with peace? What is your opinion?
Yes, my message is to all the listeners that a peace allows people to travel the world without any fear of violence, since they can choose from any country they wish. So, as a result of world peace, wars are reduced as well. Peace can be achieved if countries cease to engage in war. The primary reason for human suffering on earth is war. So, peacemaking can only be achieved when you surround oneself with compassion and inner peace. So, when you observe inner peace, this person can reach a peaceful family, a peaceful community, and that is can live a peaceful life. So that's my
Fantastic,
message.
fantastic,
All my
fantastic.
listeners. Thank you.
This is our message at the end, because everyone has the right to live happily with peace. So God has blessed each and everyone, irrespective of nations, caste, creed, everything. All are blessed with equal gifts and equal talents and equal rights. So that has to be respected. So of course, there are, because of some greedy political reasons, in the beginning brother said this is what happening. But anyway, as a global citizen,
I just want to add one more
yes,
point.
please,
The
please,
main
please.
reason of war happening right now is that, American wants to sell their weapons. Russian want to sell their weapons. That is another cause of the war. You have to think on this point also.
Yes,
This is a
greedy
real problem
politics.
right now. This is a real problem right now. See, they are provoking Taiwan to fight against China, because if Taiwan will get disturbed, Japan will get disturbed. If Japan will get disturbed, Australia will get disturbed. So all will start buying weapons from America. So American economy will boost. This is another reason. You have to think from this point of view also. So they want always to have some conflict. Conflict should be there. So for selling their weapons.
Fantastic, fantastic. Thank you so much, Ashwini Pansare ji, for joining this program and giving a great opening. Dr. Pratik Rajan Mungekar ji, your inputs are very valuable and commendable. And Ravishankar ji, you are very straightforward, and you never ever fear of the things. Thank you for speaking from the heart. Today you are rocking like anything. And we also thank Nupur Dhamija ji for her wonderful contribution to this program. Not the least, our dearest friend Sonesh Bharadwaj ji. She started firing, and she started launch of the war. She started Third World War in this session, and so fantastic, because the program went like really valuable insights on establishing peace. Hope we are giving our contribution in establishing the peace on behalf of Times India TV web channel and on behalf of Times India TV viewers. I thank you once again.